Hello and welcome back to part 4 of Vogue magazine, March 2020. And on the left, and I really want to thank viewer Walter Eaton. He's been a long time viewer, going back quite a few years, and I really appreciate his loyalty. He's been a long time viewer of the channel. And he posted a comment recently that this blur is a kind of a knockoff of photographer Paolo Roversi. Okay, and I've seen his work, and I thank Walter for that because I didn't have any familiarity with this Paolo Roversi, and I did some research, and his photography is quite brilliant. It's really beautiful photography. But as we talk about these trends, these photographers, it's really horrible. In the writing, it was really bad for writers to plagiarize. Right? I can remember years ago. Just let me digress just for a minute. I'm going back to about 1990 when author Doris Kearns Goodwin. She's a great author. I love her work. And she made a mistake one time in her research. She borrowed a line from another author about Lincoln. It was I forgot what the book was called, but she wrote it about 30 years ago, about 1990. And in all her works cited, at the end of the book, you have a bibliography or a works cited, and she forgot to cite one single usage, and she was just torn to pieces because she neglected to cite one little line in her book. Now, she had pages and pages of references and citations, and she forgot one little citation, and they slaughtered her. So my point, you come to photography, and the photographers are just ripping each other off wholesale. These trends, they just absolutely steal from each other. And in the writing world, it would be completely verboten. But here in photography, it's actually welcomed. So my point is, whoever shot this, and you're seeing this throughout all the magazines, the fashion magazines, this theft of Paolo Roversi's type of blur, it's being stolen on a grand scale. No attribution. There's nowhere in here the photographer is giving proper attribution to Paolo Roversi, and it's really bad. So not only that, not only are they stealing from him, they can't get this. And it reminds me, if I can also go on another little tangent, if you ever look at Jackson Pollock's work, his drip paintings, right, it would seem on its surface, it would be easy to copy that, right? Because you just take a paintbrush and you just splatter and you let the paint run off the brush onto the canvas. But it isn't easy. And Pollock was a master of the drip painting. And no matter who's tried to duplicate his style, it doesn't work. They can't emulate Jackson Pollock, even though it's simple drips. And this is what I'm getting at. So people, they think, okay, all I got to do is blur the image. I choose a slow shutter. I tell the model to move a little bit. Right, my slow shutter is going to catch her in a blur, and I'm going to have the equivalent of a Paolo Roversi, and it's not working. What they think in their mind, that they're going to get another, that type of an image, well, I have some news for them. It isn't working. Okay, this is a cool image. The image on the right, and I'll give you a second. Immediately, a photographer should come to mind immediately. Who does that look like? The photographer who snapped this, right? That looks like an Avedon photo. You can tell here it's kind of 80s type of influence, right? The 80s hair, the big voluminous hair. This is 80s hair, right? This clothing can almost pass as 80s clothing. This is Avedon's fashion gray background that he loved. The camera is straight on. The models, right? There's no obliques. And this is exactly how Avedon photographed. So to look at this, you would swear this is a modern photo, but you would swear that's an Avedon photo. Here, this is Ugbad Abdi, and I really intensely dislike her as a model because there are only two models to me that have one look. It almost seems like they have one look in their toolbox, and it's Cara Delevingne and Ugbad Abdi. This is all she has to offer. I mean, she looks like this, and probably 99 out of 100 photos, she has the same deadpan, expressionless look on her face. She has no range whatsoever as a model. So it kills me why these different fashion houses and these modeling agencies, why they give her work. Okay, if she has no range as a model, then why pick her up for gigs, right? It just doesn't make any sense. Same with Cara Delevingne. Here we have, and I'll give you a second too, because this should conjure a certain fashion house or an advertiser. Right now, the one I'm thinking of doesn't advertise anymore, but this should really bring something to mind. And it's the age of the model in the sexually alluring pose. Right, this is very sexually kind of inviting. You have basically what looks like an underage model with a sexually inviting pose, and that would be Calvin Klein. Calvin Klein was famous for that, taking an underage model, putting her in a suggestive pose to create this, almost like I said before, this quasi-pedophilia. So this image, you could almost imagine the logo up here, Calvin Klein, right? It's got 100% look and feel of a Calvin Klein advertisement. Okay, the image on the left, Kaia Gerber, she's just rocking that. Kaia Gerber, and this is what I mean about, she has so much range as a model. She's only 18 years old. She's been modeling less than a year and a half, daughter of Cindy Crawford, modeling less than a year and a half, and she's a tremendous model. Tremendous. She has a million different looks. 18 years old. She's knocking it out of the park. Here we go again. Uqbal Abdi. Same deadpan, expressionless gesture, right? His facial expression. She looks like this in almost every image. It's like, Uqbal Abdi, this is the only look you have in your toolkit? Really? This is all you can offer as a model? You've got to be kidding me. Okay, Kaia Gerber again, to the left, works. Okay, this image is really working, right? They put a bronzer on her, right? You can tell this is metallic. There's almost like, it's like a metallic, this is a bronzer. And the reason is to make the light come back to the camera, right? You see this, all these different hues, and the lights and the darks. This is a beautiful. So not only is it good photography, right? They've done the correct preparation on this model. Matter of fact, I'm going to mark this because I saw a photograph recently that is done intentionally. It was a racist photograph. And again, I'm not part of this cancel culture, call out culture. But when I see a racist photograph, you can bet I'm going to call it out as a racist photograph. But this is the opposite. This is wonderfully shot. Beautiful. Look at the preparation they've done to make sure that light bounces off of her and comes back into the lens of the camera. It's tremendous setup work, tremendous preparation. Okay. As soon as I saw this, I knew this was Balenciaga with those gigantic shoulder pads. It's horrible. As I've said before, Balenciaga is a joke. They should just shutter that entire operation and just call it quits because it's a joke. Here we have Gigi Hadid and her sister Bella. Bella has really come into her own. You know, when she first started modeling, Gigi started first. Then Bella came in later. They're both daughters of the famous model Yolanda Hadid. So there's definitely some nepotism here. But nepotism aside, they have what it takes, both of them. But when she first started, my point is, she really didn't have what it takes, right? She was unprepared. She didn't have the look, and she didn't have the comfort in front of the camera. She was kind of awkward and gangly, and she wasn't working. After about a year and a half or 2 years in the industry, she started to find her zone, right? And she actually grew into the part. So that's why it's actually cool that it took 2 years for her to find her feet as a model. This is Bella here. I'm talking about Bella. It took her 2 years to find her feet, but she did. And look, she has a tremendous look. But when she first started, she looked horrible. She was horrible. Okay, this is Bella again. She's kind of channeling Angelica Houston here. Bella, her facial features, she has like really kind of Eastern European facial features, you know. So she's kind of channeling, and especially here, she's got this Angelica Houston type of look to her. Okay, Uqbal Abdi again. Same expression again. It's like, come on now. Okay, and this is the one image. This is Ugbad Abdi, and she's departing from that deadpan. This is the first image I've ever seen of her where she doesn't look like this. Now, we've seen 3 images, and they all look like this. Expressionless, deadpan, right? And this is how she, every magazine, every month to month to month, she has the same blank, expressionless look. And this is the first one ever where she departs from that. So, right? I just don't get it. I don't see how she gets work. I really don't. Here we're getting back to this Alexander McQueen. We talked about this, I think, in a previous issue, right? And this is this Jewish prayer shawl. So you have a heavy, heavy Jewish influence here of the prayer shawl. And this is just gorgeous, right? So we have, what we have here is cool. We have religion influencing fashion. So you have fashion taking a page from Judaism here, and it's just wonderful. This is more of that ridiculous blur. A photographer's trying to rip off Paolo Roversi, and it's not working. This is tremendously horrible, and I wish they would stop. Okay, I don't know why I marked those. Did I miss one? Oh yeah, I'm going to come back to that one. Okay, and that concludes it. So this was part 4. This is the final 2. So it took 4 parts to get through, because this is the flagship, right? March is the spring and summer flagship. It kicks off spring and summer. And September is the flagship that kicks off fall and winter. So you have 2 that are the premier issues, September and March. So that's why it took so long to get through this particular issue. Okay, so this is a 4-parter, but we got through it. I thank you for your patience. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up. If you did not, by all means, feel free to give me a thumbs down. I appreciate you staying with me. You have many ways to spend your time, and you choose your time to be here with me in these fashion magazines, and I sincerely and deeply appreciate that. I respect that very much, and I thank you.